All right, the big talk of the podcast that we're probably just going to fly through because, well, it'll be obvious in about 10 seconds, is Carter emailed me the tentative topic list, and at the bottom it says, Attack of the Shit. Okay, so we have...
Attacking us, Shawn.
Let's have like 2 minutes of what the hell...
We agreed that, you know, we have to do this. We would do it as quickly as possible. It would be at the beginning, and then we would try not to be mean when we talked about the characters in the story.
Okay, first of all, I don't understand why George Lucas doesn't understand how to use a set anymore. Why is everything on a soundstage blue screen piece of crap?
It's because he is not a very good director. He had a bad experience in Tunisia when he was a kid, and was like, I want complete and total control over these things, and
therefore I want nothing to look real anymore?
Yeah, nothing looks real. Everything looks fake. The human eye is really good at detecting all that fake crap. All of the shots where there aren't actors are, to one degree or another, interesting. All the shots with actors look like f***ing stupid.
Like, what is going on? Compositing in Empire Strikes Back looks way better than compositing in Attack of the Clones does.
You know what? One of the scene that I'm thinking of right now that looks really shitty is when Mace and Obi-Wan and Yoda are like walking down a hallway in the Jedi Temple. It looks like a video game engine rendered it.
It's because they are the only real thing in that frame. I bet the floor is not even real.
Floor is
not Yoda isn't real either.
Yeah, and let's talk about Yoda. Yoda looks totally different from the way he looked in Empire, and not in a good way. Not in a good way.
He totally throws away a good opportunity to use C-3PO and R2-D2 and just makes them stupid comic relief.
Stupid. I mean, this movie rips off so shamelessly from Empire, and not in a good way. Like, in both of these movies, C-3PO gets dissembled.
Yeah, it's like you like your second part of the story dark, well, we're going to do it again.
Well, it's like even specific things. Specific, like C-3PO gets disassembled in a factory in both of these movies. Yoda is now, for some reason, really dumb. I guess because the dark side is clouding everything.
Yeah, I was okay with the explanation that the ebb and flow of the Force means that they are losing their power. Like, I'm okay with that explanation, but it's still, Yoda and the Jedi Council seem very, very ignorant and not like willing to investigate. Like, they're like, Obi-Wan, you go check it out. We'll sit here in this room and meditate.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's like, we sense that Anakin could be very dangerous, and that especially,
but we'll leave him alone with the senator.
Padme would be a very, there's a dangerous dynamic there. So let's send them away to, a fully, a vacation in, space Italy, where,
space Italy?
Yeah, count it, where they're going to be going on gondolas. And what the hell is Natalie Portman wearing in these things?
Things that don't allow her to move, basically.
Or breathe. This story, one of the people who's going through this with us was like, this doesn't feel like the same movies that I was watching. It doesn't have the same...
You're right.
You are right, sir. Whoever you were, you are right. I think it was... I don't remember. Ben, maybe? This movie, I'm befuddled by this movie.
I just saw The Avengers for the second time yesterday, and this Attack of the Clones opens pretty much. It opens with an extended chase sequence that doesn't really have much. Like, the chase itself has nothing to do with the plot. Like, it doesn't reveal anything. It doesn't. The city of Coruscant that they're going through doesn't. Like, this has no bearing on anything in the rest of the story. The Avengers also opens with a chase sequence. It starts with Loki arriving, and then Nick Fury goes chasing him, along with Agent Hill and a bunch of other people. And every single moment of that chase sequence is exposition. Like, it fills you in on everything that's going on. It tells you about all these different characters and everything. And in Attack of the Clones, all they're doing is chasing a thing for a really long time.
And the screen looks like someone just vomited all of this lights, and
it's just a neon maelstrom. It's
the whole
disgusting.
Movie is, and all these new movies, is just like, how much crap can we get in the frame? And so it's either a whole bunch of crap in the frame, which is I don't really care about, because you haven't given me at no point. I have no reason to care about most of these characters, none at all, and especially the the facade of a love story that they've got going on between Anakin and Padme, which is completely unbelievable.
Feels a little forced. I at some point I was all of a sudden I was like, I understand why Anakin is pining for Padme. Why is she suddenly in love with him? What happened?
Yeah, there was no reason why they fell in love with each other other than the fact that they're attracted to each other. And in fact, Padme gives all the reason to think that she wouldn't be into him because he's whiny and,
they had scenes of them back to back where, like, their feelings changed between scenes. And I was like, what happened? Like, It cuts from them in one place to them in another place, and they have different things going on.
I mean, it's every little thing about this movie. It's just really, really terribly done. Like, the story is just incoherent. Why did a bounty hunter hire another bounty hunter to kill Padme? Why did that
and then kill the first bounty hunter?
Why did he kill... Yeah, then he killed the first bounty hunter, and he killed the first bounty hunter with something that could directly tie him to where he's hiding. And he's supposed to be, like, the best bounty hunter in the galaxy. Also, I think it's crazy that the Jedi spent, like, 15 minutes trying to chase down the first bounty hunter through, like, a billion different cars that, like, they somehow were able to keep track of that. But when a dude on a jetpack, which probably doesn't have a whole lot of fuel, blasts off,
they don't
have
him.
Any desire to chase him at all.
And the whole time they were away, they didn't, like, worry about what was going on back at the apartment either. Like, that would have been the perfect diversion to actually kill the senator.
Yeah, and then after that happens, they don't think there's no more tension at all, even though there should be. Like, why Padme could be killed again. Like, she's just packing up, and Anakin's just standing there, and there's, like, stuff happening outside the window. But they're like, whatever. They're probably not.
We're safe now.
Why is she going to be safe on her homeworld? All these things just completely befuddle me. The thing that I hate the most, and I didn't notice this until I watched this documentary, The People versus George Lucas, is that at one moment in this entire movie, someone spikes the shot, and it's Jar Jar Binks. He looks directly into the camera.
He does?
Yes. When they're I think it's the only time in the entire series that anybody does this. When they're leaving their little meeting to, like, set up the security arrangements, and he's there, everyone's filing out, and he just looks right at the camera.
Why? He's not even real.
It's a big fuck you to the audience from George Lucas because they didn't like Jar Jar Binks. Okay, I think we're done.
Okay,
you have anything else you want to say?
No, I think I feel better now.
From here on, we're going to talk about the characters in the story and
how much is there really to talk about?
Well, don't worry, guys.
This is a setup for what is at least slightly better movie.
No comment. We'll talk about it next week.
Okay.
So the only character who, well, besides the droids, who bridges these movies together at all is Obi-Wan, which is interesting because he was kind of a minor character. I mean, his importance is large. He looms over the past two movies, but now he's actually a guy.
Since I realized how much attention they paid to Obi-Wan in the prequels and that the prequels were bad, like when I got old enough to realize that, I really wished that the prequels focused more on Obi-Wan and then transition to Anakin.
It would have been better. That's true. So,
especially as Ewan McGregor playing him, because he's great.
Right.
He takes everything that all the crap he's working with and does the best he can with it.
He can. So you can see old Ben in Obi-Wan right now.
Yes, very much.
Mm-hmm. He's kind of quirky. He's a weird monk. We're gonna, just like Ben. Ben's a weird monk, but he's young and he's sort of in the prime of his life, right? And it's really easy to split this movie up into two, which is what we're gonna do: Obi-Wan and then Anakin and Padme. Our introduction to our two main characters is sort of strange based on the previous two movies because we know that they were good friends, right? But you don't really see that friendship here.
No, it's very much a teacher and student relationship at this point. And the student in question is very hot-headed, and they don't seem to have a very good working relationship.
Yeah, Obi-Wan, clearly is very frustrated with Anakin, and it expresses it both through his actions and his words. This movie likes to express things through words over action, but we finished with that part, so I'll not talk about that. So yeah, so we're learning a little bit about the Jedi. Apparently they take on one apprentice, it seems.
Yes.
And Obi-Wan's apprentice is Anakin, and he's trying to like turn this young man into a real Jedi. That's sort of the theme that I got through this whole thing. It's like there's this sort of ideal Jedi that maybe Obi-Wan is, and Anakin is not, and he needs correction. So Obi-Wan, that's his task throughout all this. His second task is he gets to go on a little mystery solving plot. That's what he does through most of the movie. Is he tracks down this dart.
Yeah, that's basically the core mystery of this movie, figuring out this insidious plot. Insidious, see? Mm-hmm. Insidious plot that has been in place to create a clone army.
Right. So and I guess you kind of get that Obi-Wan was an important dude. That, the High Council of the Jedi send him to investigate this thing. Yeah. So
he was tasked with this important thing.
Mm-hmm. And he actually kind of comes to solve some stuff. He's the one who, he makes it to Kamino and discovers this clone army, and
a separatist movement led by Dooku.
Right, and that there is some relationship between these two things, right? He figures out the connection between these two things, and that connection is Jango Fett. Jango Fett is the template for these clones, and he also seems to be in collaboration with Dooku, who may or may not be a Sith, but at the end we find out is a Sith.
Yeah, definitely.
It's Darth Tyrannus.
Yeah.
And that plot brings Obi-Wan to Geonosis for the arena scene. Like that's the path that he takes. Do you want to keep talking about Obi-Wan through the battle, or do you want to talk about Anakin?
Let's catch up with Anakin.
Okay, so while Obi-Wan is off doing that, we got Anakin and Padme and the love story.
Which, if you're a fan of the original trilogy, probably doesn't feel much like a love story to you.
So we don't know much about Anakin and Padme. We know that they knew each other 10 years ago, pretending that that episode one did not take place in this.
They met each other when they were probably very young.
When they were young, and there's some sort of spark when they first meet.
But it's more of a you're like that little brother I had once.
Right, and then you've got Anakin, who basically throughout this entire movie just has creepy sex looks on his face the entire time. Like, oh, Padme.
I've been having dreams about you for the last 10 years.
I think he does say something like that.
Yes, he does.
Okay.
It's like, you're even prettier than I remember you in my dreams or something. Which is the creepiest thing. Someone wrote that on your Facebook wall, you would block them.
Right. So, as you said, Anakin is hot-headed. He doesn't have control over his emotions, but he's trying.
He's definitely trying.
He's trying to do it. He just can't. He's got so much anger inside of him. It's hard.
I think the amount of work he puts into it shows how much he wants this. Like he wants to be a Jedi, and he wants love. And he wants all of those things to work together at the same time, which Obi-Wan will tell him cannot happen.
Right, it's not possible. It's not possible. I mean, that's something that you just learn in life, is that you can't have everything. And everything isn't always going to work the way you want it to. Anakin wants the power to bend the world to his will, to make things right the way he thinks it should be. You see that when he's talking with Padme in one of the numerous times they're in a field, and they're talking about politics, and he's like, well, the way it should work is that everybody should sit down.
They should look to a individual who makes wise decisions.
Right, it's like everyone should sit down and have their say, but and then just decide on the right thing, and and Padme's like, but people disagree. People don't always agree on things. And he's like, well, they should be made to agree.
It's very much like Rome and Caesar, and how he would not abdicate when the war was over.
Yeah, it's like or for that matter, Augustus. It's like I'm a very smart dude. I know it's best for everyone, and I'm going to be fair and judicious, and I should be the one in charge.
And if you're the one saying that, do you really think that you're the person who can be trusted? Other people make that decision.
Right, and I think Padme even says well, who should it be? Should it be you? And Anakin's like, well, no, not me. Although
someone wise.
someone wise. Although if we think back to Empire, at that point in his life, he does think it's him.
Yes.
It's like, I should be in charge. I need Luke to help me be in charge. I know what's best for the galaxy. I should be running the show.
Let's have daddy son time.
Yes, exactly. So he either thinks this right now, or he's come to think he does eventually.
He does eventually realize that he wants to be in charge.
Yeah, so you should keep that in your mind. While we do Revenge of the Sith next week, it's like, the galaxy is a messed up place. Politics is stupid. There should be one person in charge, and it should be me. That is Anakin's. That will become his motive. Right now, his motive is to get into Padme's pants.
And it's hard to. This is why it's hard for me to buy the love story, because Padme is a senator and she stands for the Republic, and that's been her issue the entire movie. She wants to keep the Republic together, and that's why she's so protected and trying to stay alive, because she is one of the few people who really knows what's going on. It seems like the central planets are still unaware or in denial of this force that is working against them.
Right. Well, because there hasn't been any.
The battles and skirmishes have been removed from the public eye.
There's a lot tied up in the plot and the things that are perhaps wrong with the plot, but yes, there hasn't been a war, right? There's just people who are like, I don't like the Republic, and it's on the Outer Rim, and it's whatever. Palpatine clearly is concerned about it, though, because the central political element of this movie is this Military Creation Act. So convenient that there's a Military Creation Act and then a military being built for the Republic separately on Camino. I realized that they, it was planned by Sidious, but whatever. It's like, how did they know? Whatever. I don't want to go there. But,
they don't really play around the fact that Palpatine and Sidious are the same person. I mean,
yeah,
it's really obvious.
I think it's so weird. I mean, to the audience, I think it's supposed to be they're the same, but whatever.
It's like the Ewok situation. Everyone knew they were called Ewoks without them ever calling them Ewoks. Everyone knows that Sidious is Palpatine without them pointing it out until later.
Right. But so, Palpatine wants this Military Creation Act. He's the Supreme Chancellor. He's been the Supreme Chancellor for a long time now. And he wants to have a military to put down the Separatist threat, and Padme thinks that they should negotiate, and there shouldn't be a military.
She leaves some idiot in charge to make the wrong decision.
And he's the one who sets it off. Anakin would clearly come down on Palpatine's side, and there does seem to be kind of they have one scene together in this movie, I think it's just one, where there's kind of a mentor thing going on, where Palpatine is like, oh, well, you're very strong with, I don't know anything about this force that you were talking about. Hint, hint, wink, wink. But
this mumbo-jumbo force.
Right, but it's, he says something like, soon you will be in control of your emotions, and then you'll be unstoppable.
I like that Obi-Wan doesn't trust it. They're not. It seems like the Jedi pretty much don't really trust politicians, because they are politicians and they have to wheel and deal and lie and stuff. And Obi-Wan just blanketly doesn't like politicians, and Anakin doesn't like politicians, but he likes two.
Yeah, he likes Padme, he likes Palpatine. Yeah, Obi-Wan says something like, I have found that politicians, make decisions based on their campaigns.
Yeah.
And not what's good for everyone. And that's if these movies were done better, it would be a more interesting conversation. That the Jedi are kind of that force that Anakin wants. It's not one person, but they're this sort of wise, deciding, voice in the Republic, where it's, it's like, we know what's going on, and
they're supposed to be passionless. I mean, that's one of the reasons that Anakin can't be in love. They're supposed to make the objective, fair, best decision.
Yeah, well, and if you want to think about the Jedi, if there was some history that was good, and I bet there's not, I don't know the EU history on the Jedi very well, they probably would have to have come to the structure that they're in right now, which is basically the reason why the Republic fell apart, where they can't fight wars and they can't really be attached to things, because the public needs to think that they are fair, impartial, balanced, because they have this they have this nuclear weapon that the rest of the galaxy doesn't have. They have the Force. They can do stuff with it that other people can't have. And if they didn't if there wasn't some sort of compromise with like the Senate and the public, like we will let you have some sort of direction over us, and we will promise never to to have a biased
rise
decision
against you,
right? Then we'll
rule you like ants.
Then you guys agree not to wipe us out. And then at some point Palpatine uses that implicit compact to his advantage.
Yeah.
Or he will. You can see it now, but it will happen. And we know that it's going to happen because
we know that the Jedi are extinct. Yes.
Right. Maybe so this movie tells us like kind of how that could have happened, because the Jedi are really powerful. There are a lot of them, and they have this centralized structure, and they could be dangerous. So Anakin starts having dreams about his mom.
Yes, and this, again, we're ripping off something directly from Empire Strikes Back. Luke senses what's going on with his friends. Anakin senses what's going on with his mother, who apparently, at least up to this point, since he left her, has lived a fairly decent life. So it's only recently that apparently she's been being tortured.
Right. So he's having bad dreams about his mom, and Padme says, let's go to Tatooine. Why not?
We got nothing better to do.
I'm a senator and the prime mover and shaker in the politics regarding this separatist movement. But sure, let's go to Tatooine. Why not? Because you're having bad dreams. Whatever. They go there. They get to meet the little family that Shmi has. She was freed. Is that what happened? And
she was bought by that guy, and then he released her and married her.
Yeah, and then they have kids, but they're not from Shmi.
Those are not Shmi's kids, correct? Those are his previous marriage or whatever.
That would be Anakin's brother and sister. How does that work? Stepbrother and stepsister?
Step.
And they got a nice little family there, and then they find out that your mom got captured by Tusken Raiders, and we just didn't go after her.
Well, he did. He lost a leg trying to find her. And
then he was like, and I just couldn't do it anymore after that. And it's like, really? There's no other way?
Well, the first 72 hours are the most important in a...
in a Tusken Raider...
CSI, Tatooine.
I'm sure there's been that. Troopers or whatever, the cops rip off. That's classic. That's classic Star Wars fan stuff.
Yeah.
So Anakin decides to go off and rescue his mom, and by the way, murder everybody in this trip, even the children.
I'll throw one more complaint in here now that we've reached this point, and I forgot about it. I really wish that instead of her just dying when he arrived, like getting the line in and then dying, I really wish a Tusken Raider had entered the tent and been like, "Oh crap." And then, fired a weapon. And then it would make way more sense that Anakin went nuts and killed everyone.
And set him off, yeah.
Yeah. Why couldn't you just had one person come in and be like, "Oh, shoot. Intruder."
I don't know. Well, he killed everyone. And the children, I slaughtered them like animals. Why does Padme even put up with this? I have no idea.
I don't know.
But she does. And
she can't control her heart. And
she comforts him, in the little workshop that we know from Star Wars.
Luke's workshop.
Yeah. He then reveals his actual motive, and it is he wants to become powerful enough to stop people from dying. That is Anakin Skywalker's goal as a character now. I want more power so I can make people not die.
Okay. I do like that.
Okay.
That's a good character trait for our evil villain.
Do we need a movie and a half to set it up? Maybe,
probably
perhaps not. But we that's what we get. I want to have enough power to stop people from dying. If Padme hadn't been interested in him, he probably would have been, I want to be powerful enough to make people fall in love with me. But thankfully, she decided to hook up with him.
Join him or die, I guess.
They intercept a signal from Obi-Wan about Geonosis, and they go there too. That's how we all get to the arena.
And then there's a giant fight.
Yeah, and my favorite part of the movie is the animals being set on our heroes, kind of like Roman and
the Colosseum. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the coolest part, because it didn't have any stupid lightsabers. It didn't have any like ridiculous stuff that you can't believe, like physics that you can't believe.
Some of the CGI is really uneven in this movie, but that was a scene that they obviously paid attention to.
They paid a lot of attention to it. It's really I think it's kind of fun. You get to see everyone fight, with the shackles on, which is cool, and you get to see Natalie Portman's midriff. So thanks to that little saber-tooth tiger thing that ripped her clothes up. So how are they going to get out of this? It's like, you can fight those animals as much as you want, but they're on this planet full of bugs. By the way, can I just say that the entire point of this movie is that bugs are building robots to fight clones? That's so stupid.
Because every race that is not humans is intent on destruction, I guess.
Yeah, or also slightly racist as we go through all of the people who are separatists with Dooku. It's like...
there's a robot?
People had complaints about... Yeah, Rosie the robot from the Jetsons is one of the separatist leaders. So how are they going to get out of this? Our characters are screwed, because even if they beat the animals, it's like you're on a planet full of bugs.
You're going to die. Something's going to roll in and kill you, like these battle droids.
Jango Fett is there. I think it's hysterical that... the entire reason they're doing this is because we don't know this because the Phantom Menace doesn't exist in this universe, but one of the separatist leaders just doesn't like Padme, and he's like, I want to kill her.
Right. I want her head.
Right. So that's kind of silly, but okay. And how do they get saved?
Deus Ex Machina.
They picked up the army from Camino, and apparently they had spaceships for them too. And they come in, and there's 100 Jedi, and they bust them out of the arena, and then we find out that the planet's full. The planet's a droid factory for the Separatists, and they're making an army too, and they have a big battle.
There's some great, actually, this battle, although it goes on for way too long, there are some great shots in this that far exceed other shots that clearly George Lucas handled, because it's the second unit. You can tell there are a couple handheld shots on the ground with the troopers that just look awesome. They look like something out of a World War II, like a good World War II movie, but it is in space.
In space. I mean, you can do some really cool things with special effects. And I don't disagree. I think there are some pretty cool shots there. I think that mostly it's difficult to follow.
If only we had gotten there 30 minutes earlier, and it was a little shorter and concise.
Right. So there's a big battle, and then the leader of the Separatists, Count Dooku, runs away, and the Jedi chase him,
as they were meant to.
Right. We're gonna chase him down. We're gonna try and bring him to justice. Get this guy. Because he's a bad guy, bad dude. And Anakin and Obi-Wan go after him, and he's just way too powerful for him.
Yes, they are really overmatched. And he, again, I like this history of Sith Lords looking disappointed with their fights. He looks really disappointed after he beats those two.
Yeah, I mean, Anakin just runs up. Obi-Wan has one of the stupidest lines of history. It's well, you go in slowly from the left. It's what? What does that mean? What? Go in slowly from the left.
Don't you have the Force? Can't you figure this out telepathically or something?
So Anakin is really upset and angry and full of anger, and he runs in, and he just gets zapped by lightning. And Obi-Wan is a little more even-tempered, showing his
cautious.
He's Obi-Wan. He doesn't rush into things like that. Except when they find the droid outside of Padme's room, and he jumps onto it. I never understood why he did that, and it wasn't Anakin. That made no sense to me. He fights with Dooku for maybe 5 seconds as opposed to no seconds, and then he is also dispatched. Anakin gets enough strength to run in and save him, and then he fights him two-saber style, and then he gets his arm cut off.
Yeah, he gives him that lightsaber for about 10 seconds, and then it's destroyed.
It's also really confusing what's going on there. There's swinging their lightsabers, and they've got these really close shots of their face, and you don't really know what's happening.
Alicia was kind of half watching the movie with me, and she was watching that part, and she was like, what are they showing? And I was like, I don't know.
I don't know. It looks like they're just swinging their sabers above their heads, and I don't know.
You should put some dance music over that scene and just put it on loop.
And then they ruin Yoda.
And Yoda jumps around for some weird reason, because he can't fight like Yoda would... Like you'd expect Yoda to fight.
You would expel Yoda shouldn't fight.
He should be standoffish and fight from a distance with the Force. And Alicia never understood, and she's completely right. After watching the Avengers, whenever Thor wants his hammer, it's in his hand. Whenever Jedi want their lightsabers, why is it so hard? It like trembles and it's like, oh, I can't get it into my hand. It won't come to me. Why is it so hard to get that thing to come across the room?
I don't know. They use the Force to fight for a little bit, and then they do the lightsaber thing, and he bounces off the walls because he's 2 feet tall. The charitable thing you could say is that this is where Yoda learned that wars don't make one great. That's the only charitable thing you could say, is that he learned that, you know what, I'm a really good duelist, and I have the Force.
He hasn't lived through a war, correct? Like the last, even according to the expanded universe, the last war was 1,000 years ago?
Right, yeah. In this movie, you know, it's like this republic's been around for 1,000 years, which is not the same thing as the 1,000 generations that Obi-Wan said. And I know in the expanded universe they paper over that with, it's like, well, the republic got refounded 1,000 years ago.
Yeah, okay.
I find it hard to believe that Yoda would not have learned that aggression doesn't make a great... Wars don't make one great over the past 800 years of his life. I'm sure there have been, like, wars, maybe not like a galactic war. But that's where he learns for himself firsthand that, you know, I'm a great warrior and I was not able to fix the situation with a lightsaber and with the Force. And I think that's basically the only thing you can say about this in terms of his character, because his character in Empire Strikes Back, you could see him telling Yoda in Attack of the Clones, you know, it's like, you should not, you know, you need to be at peace and passive, and you need to learn to give yourself away to the Force, and, you know, Jedi use the Force for, you know, defense, never attack.
Do not engage.
Yeah, you know, it's like there will be another way to deal with this. I mean, he took an army and started the Clone Wars to save a couple people, to save Padme, Anakin, and Obi-Wan. He started the war. I mean, it was going to happen anyway because the Separatists and whatever, and Darth Sidious wanted there to be a war. But he was actually the one who started the war. This was the first battle. And
these guys are becoming generals. We already know that Obi-Wan was a general during the Clone Wars.
Yeah, maybe that's where he learned all of this. But I also find that a little hard.
He had to go through an intergalactic war to learn that war is bad.
Yeah, maybe. And that's basically it. Anakin and Padme get married in secret, and the Chancellor's got a big army, which Jimmy Smits seems upset about. And that's the end of the movie.
Jimmy Smits?
Yeah.
Alicia had a funny reaction to Jimmy Smits, too. I was like, no, he's Princess Leia's dad. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Oh, and Jango Fett gets his head cut off by
Mace. Yeah.
He has a purple lightsaber, though. There you go.
Sam Jackson's decision. So for next time, we'll be watching at least an incrementally better film, Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, maybe. We'll have. I'm sure we'll have plenty to say in the first 5 to 10 minutes in our little section, and then we'll get to the. There's a little more plot, a little more character stuff.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking. There's more meat and potatoes. I think Sith is really the Obi-Wan. This is really the story that lets Obi-Wan shine.
Yeah. It also ends with Darth Vader screaming no. It makes me want to scream no.
All right, we're done.
Okay.